I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to catch my cheating so close to our wedding, but here I am. Her name was Lisa, and she'd always seemed perfect. Bright smile, kind eyes, a sharp wit you couldn't ignore. I met her 2 years ago at a friend's barbecue, and from that moment I thought I'd found someone I could spend my life with. We built a life together, or so I thought. The week before the wedding was supposed to be chaos. Final plans, last-minute details, family flying in from out of town. Instead, it turned into something else entirely. I had been working late every night trying to finish some big project. I thought she was working too, or at least pretending to. Little did I know, her late nights were spent not at the office but with Tom, my best friend. Tom and I had known each other since college. We'd been through a lot: college parties, bad breakups, road trips, so I trusted him implicitly. When I found out about Lisa's affair, it was like a punch in the gut. I didn't expect betrayal from her, and definitely not from Tom. But the signs had been there. Small cracks I just refused to see at first. It started with the texts. I noticed her phone buzzing nonstop one night when I was in the shower. She quickly slid it off the counter, face down, acting normal as if nothing was wrong. I brushed it off, but then I saw the messages the next morning. They were from Tom, and they weren't just friendly. They were intimate, talking about how much they missed each other, plans for the weekend, secrets they never told me. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I waited. I watched her more carefully. She'd disappear into the bedroom with her phone, whispering. I could hear muffled laughter sometimes, and I swear her cheeks would flush when she thought I wasn't looking. That's when I decided to do some digging. I needed proof, something undeniable. One night I snuck into her purse and found her phone. I went through her messages while she was asleep. My stomach clenched as I saw the entire story. There were dozens of texts, photos, even some videos, things I never believed she'd do. My name was in her messages, but so was Tom, and they talked about how they'd keep their affair a secret until after the wedding. I couldn't breathe. It was like my world was collapsing. I remember holding her phone, the glow of the screen illuminating my face, feeling the sweat pooling at my temples. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through her lies. Every word cut deeper than the last. She lied about being at work when she was with Tom. That's when my mind finally snapped into focus. Everything I believed about her was a lie. She wasn't just lying about work. She was lying about us, about what we shared. I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't want to do it right away. I wanted to plan, to understand what I was really dealing with before facing her. I sat on the couch, her phone in my hand, and made a decision. If she'd been cheating on me for days, I wasn't just going to let it slide. No way. This was deeper than hurt. It was about respect, removing the rug from under her feet and showing her I wasn't part of this game anymore. I started to think about what I'd do next. I'd been betrayed, yes, but I was also furious. I was going to make her feel what I felt, like I'd been punched in the stomach and left to bleed out. I knew I had to be careful, though. If I played my cards wrong, I'd lose everything: her, my chance at the wedding, maybe even my friendship with Tom. But I had nothing left to lose now. She shattered that. The next step was clear. I'd set her up, figure out exactly how far this went, gather everything I needed to turn the tables. I wasn't just going to confront her and let it end there. No, I wanted her to see me as someone who wouldn't be played, someone who knew her secret and was ready to make her regret it. I closed her phone, my hand trembling, and looked out the window at the dark street. My mind raced with plans. This was just the beginning. I was going to make her pay, one way or another. I could feel my jaw tighten as I clenched my fists. She thought she was clever, hiding her lies behind false smiles and late nights. Well, she had no idea what was coming. I guess what hurt most was the betrayal, not just from her but from Tom, my best friend, my brother in arms. How could they do this right before everything was supposed to change? My throat went dry and I felt the cold sweat bead on my forehead. I didn't have all the pieces yet, but I knew I'd find out everything I needed. The game was on. The days that followed felt like walking through a fog. Every time I looked at Lisa, I saw a stranger. Her smile, her laugh, even the way she brushed her hair seemed fake now. I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd been blind, that I'd missed every warning sign. But in reality, I just refused to see the truth that was staring me right in the face. I knew I couldn't confront her without solid proof. I needed something more concrete, evidence that would leave no room for doubt. I started by digging through her phone again, carefully, methodically. I knew her routine by now. She'd go to work, come home, then disappear into the bedroom with her phone. I needed to catch her in the act. One evening, I texted her from an unknown number. Simple message, just something casual. "Hey, saw your message about the meeting tomorrow. Looks important." I knew she'd respond, and sure enough, she did, almost immediately. Her reply was quick, a little too quick, and I could tell she was nervous. "Yes, it's confidential, don't tell anyone." That was all I needed. I set a trap. The next night I waited until I heard her phone buzz in the bedroom. I slipped out of the living room, grabbed a spare phone I'd bought, and sent her a quick message. "Listen, I know about you and Tom. Seen the messages, the photos, I want to talk." I knew she'd see the message the moment she checked her phone. That was the plan. When she came into the living room, her face was a mask of shock. Her hands trembled, fingers clutching her phone. She looked at me like I'd just punched her. How did you find out?" She stammered, voice trembling. "You lied to me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, though my stomach was twisting like a knot. "You said you were working late. I found your messages, Lisa. I know everything." Her eyes darted around, desperate. "It's not what it looks like. It's just a mistake. Tom and we didn't mean for it to go this far. Really, because it looks like you planned this from the start," I shot back. "You're sneaking around behind my back, hiding your phone. I saw everything, the pictures, the videos, the fake work meetings. Don't you think I deserve the truth?" She looked like she was about to cry, but her voice was cold. "I was stressed. Things with the wedding, work, everything. I didn't mean for it to happen. I swear." I took a deep breath, trying to hold back the rage. "You lied to me from day one. And Tom, my best friend, that's the real punch. I trusted him. I thought he was my brother." Her voice cracked as she spoke. "It meant nothing, just a stupid mistake. I love you. I was going to tell you, I swear." That was the line that broke something inside me. Love. That word felt like ash in my mouth. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but I knew this was only the beginning. I had to decide what I was going to do. Revenge was tempting, but I wanted something more calculated, more satisfying than just yelling and throwing her out. I looked her in the eyes, the betrayal burning behind my gaze. "This is over, Lisa. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, but I'm not done, not yet." I paused and looked around her apartment as if seeing it anew. "You think you can cheat and lie and get away with it? You're wrong." She reached for my hand, but I pulled away sharply. "Don't touch me." I was already planning my next move. I knew I had to make her regret every lie, every betrayal. She thought she was clever, hiding behind her phone, behind her lies. But I had something she didn't: detachment. Cold, ruthless, and ready to strike. As she stared at me, tears welling in her eyes, I felt nothing but a strange sense of calm. It was odd, almost like I'd stepped outside myself, watching the chaos unfold. I knew I needed to finish what I started, to make sure she understood she'd crossed a line. And I wasn't going to stop until she knew exactly how broken she'd made me feel. That night I stayed up late, planning every move. I'd already set the stage, waiting for the right moment. I knew her habits, her vulnerabilities. I had to be smart, calculated. I needed her to see I was serious, that I wouldn't be a fool she could cheat on and discard. The next step was clear. I'd gather all the evidence I could, make her realize she'd lost more than just she'd lost her dignity. I'd make her regret her choices in ways she couldn't ignore. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that betrayal doesn't just hurt. It leaves scars you carry for a lifetime. And I was ready to make sure she understood that. The next morning, I woke up with a sharp knot in my stomach, but I knew what I had to do. I wasn't just going to confront her. No, I had to get everything in order first. If I was going to make her realize what she'd lost, I needed to be precise, cold, and above all, convincing. I started by cleaning her out of her own apartment. I didn't want to leave her any more surprises or evidence lying around. I threw away her hidden charger, deleted some of the incriminating photos from her phone, mostly to clear my own head, and took mental notes of all the places she'd been sneaking off to. I wasn't just acting on impulse. I was setting a trap, one she wouldn't see coming. While she was out for her work meeting, I snuck into her closet and retrieved a few things. Her jewelry, her favorite scarf, a couple of her dresses, things I knew she'd want to know I'd taken. I wanted her to see I was serious, that I wasn't just going to walk away without making her pay for her betrayal. When she got home that evening, her face was taut, her eyes red-rimmed but still defiant. She was expecting a fight, I could tell. I didn't waste time. I sat her down on the couch, looked her straight in the eye and said, "We need to talk, really talk." Her voice trembled as she asked, "What is there left to say?" "Oh, I think there's plenty," I said coolly. "First, I want the truth. No more lies, no more pretending. Tell me everything. When did this start? How long? Have you been sneaking around behind my back?" She hesitated, then looked down, voice barely audible. "It started about a month ago. Tom and I, it just happened. I thought I could stop it, but I couldn't. I felt a cold wave wash over me. A month, that's almost half the time we'd been together." I clenched my fists, feeling my palms sweat. "And the messages, the photos, the nights you lied about being at work. I didn't want you to find out," she whispered. "I was scared. I still love you, I swear I do. Please don't throw everything away over this." I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice. "Love, that's rich coming from someone who's been lying to my face for weeks. You want me to believe that you love me after all this?" Her lips quivered and she looked like she was about to cry again. I was stupid. I thought I could fix it, but I realized now I was wrong. I scoffed and shook my head. "You were stupid. No, Lisa, you deliberately lied. You betrayed me. And Tom, my best friend, you knew how much I trusted him, how much I trusted you. How could you do that?" She looked away, tears streaming down her face. "It wasn't supposed to go this far. It just happened. I didn't think it would hurt you so much." "Too late for that," I muttered. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the small bundle I'd prepared, her jewelry, her scarf, her dresses. I placed them on the table. "Here, what I'm going to do. I'm taking back everything that's mine. You want to keep lying and hiding. That's your choice, but I'm not going to pretend this never happened." She looked up at me, eyes pleading. "Please don't do anything rash. Let's talk. Let's fix this." "No," I said coldly. "This isn't about fixing. It's about ending it. I'm done pretending I don't see what's in front of me. I trusted you. I trusted Tom, and you both threw that trust away." I paused, watching her collapse into tears. I felt a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. The moment of truth had arrived. I'd made my decision. It was time for the final act. "I want you to leave tonight," I said quietly. "And don't come back. Here, the keys, take them. I don't want to see you around anymore." Her hand reached out toward me, trembling, but I stepped back. "Don't," I said sharply. "You made your choice. Now live with it." I handed her the keys, each movement deliberate, cold. As she stared at them, helpless, I knew I'd finally broken through her defenses. The betrayal was real, and she had no choice but to face the consequences. Once she left the apartment, I sat down on the empty couch, feeling every muscle in my body tense. My stomach was still twisted, but part of me felt oddly relieved. I'd done what I had to do, cut out the poison, sever the ties. As I looked around the empty apartment, I understood one thing for sure: this was only the beginning. There was plenty more to come, but for now I managed to turn the page. I closed the door behind her, and I knew I'd never look back. My takeaway: sometimes the only way to reclaim yourself is to cut out everything that's poisoning your life, no matter how much it hurts. The silence in the apartment was deafening. I sat alone on the couch, staring at the door she just walked out of, feeling the weight of what I'd just done. It was like my chest had been clenched in a steel vise, but at the same time a strange calm was settling over me. I had finally done it. I'd taken back control, or at least I'd started to. I knew I couldn't just sit there and dwell. Not anymore. My mind kept replaying her desperate eyes, the trembling voice, the tears streaming down her cheeks as she realized she was losing everything. I'd never seen her like that before. She'd always been the confident, charming girl until I uncovered her lies. Now she looked broken, and honestly, part of me felt a flicker of satisfaction. She broken my trust, and I was making her pay, even if it was just by walking away. But I had to be smart. I couldn't let this be a one-time thing. I needed to set the stage for what came next. I needed to make sure she understood she'd lost more than just me. She'd lost her last chance at a life she thought she controlled. I reached for my phone, scrolling through the contacts. There was only one person I trusted enough to help me handle what was coming. I dialed Tom's number, feeling a mix of anger and a strange sense of relief. When he answered, I kept my voice steady, cold even. "You're not going to believe what I just did," I said, "but I know it's the right move. I've got everything I need now. Every message, every photo. I've got her cornered, Tom. There was a long pause on the other end. Then he muttered, "You sure about this? Maybe you're overreacting." "No," I snapped. "I've never been more clear. She lied to me for weeks. She was cheating on me, Tom, with you, and I'm done. I want you to come over tonight. I need to talk to you face to face." His silence hung heavy. I could hear him breathing on the line. "All right," he finally said, sounding subdued. "I'll be there, but we need to talk about everything. I owe you that much." Good. That was what I wanted. Now I had to prepare everything. I'd already set the trap, but I needed to make sure it was airtight. I went to the kitchen, grabbed a bottle of whiskey, and poured myself a glass. I needed the burn to steady my nerves. I sat back on the couch, watching the shadows stretch across the walls as the evening settled in. While I waited, I looked around at the apartment. My apartment now, really. I'd never felt so empty and heavy at the same time. Every corner echoed her presence, and I felt a strange mix of rage and relief. I was finally taking control, but the aftermath was going to be a mess. I knew that. Nothing was going to be the same after tonight. Right on cue, there was a knock at the door. I took a deep breath, closed my eyes for a moment, then got up. I opened it to find Tom standing there, his face serious, eyes clouded with regret and something darker. "Come in," I said, stepping aside. He hesitated a second, then entered. The room was thick with tension. I watched him carefully, not trusting him but knowing I had to hear him out. "Tom," I started, voice hoarse but controlled. "We've known each other a long time. I trusted you. I still want to believe you're my friend, but tonight I need honesty. Did you ever have feelings for her? Did you know what she was doing?" He looked down, then nodded slowly. "Yeah," he admitted quietly. "I knew she was lying. I didn't want to hurt you, but I couldn't stop myself either. I thought I could handle it, that it wasn't serious, but I wasn't honest either. I was just as stupid." I felt my jaw tight. "You're damn right you were. You both betrayed me. I don't know what I expected from either of you. Trust, respect. Guess I was just fooling myself." He looked up, remorse etched all over his face. "I messed up, man. I don't want to lose you, but I don't deserve your forgiveness right now. Whatever you decide, I'll accept it." I took a long breath, feeling the weight of everything, the anger, the hurt, the sense of betrayal. I knew what I had to do. The moment I'd been preparing for was finally here. I had to act decisively. "You think I'm just going to let this slide?" I said, voice sharp. "No, you're coming with me. We're going to do what I planned. You're going to help me end this properly." He looked at me, confused, then nodded. "Whatever you need." I reached into my bag and pulled out a small box. Inside was a burner phone I'd bought. I handed it to him. "You're going to call her tonight. Tell her I want to meet, that I have some things I want to say. She thinks she's out of the woods, but I want her to believe I'm still trying to salvage us, even if I'm just setting her up." He looked surprised but nodded. "Got it." Then I handed him a folder. Inside was all the evidence I'd collected, screenshots, the messages, the photos, everything I needed to make her realize she'd lost control. "This is how I'm going to do it," I explained. "She'll think I'm trying to fix things, but really I'm just baiting her. When she shows up, I'll have everything ready. And then, well, she's going to understand exactly what she threw away and why I'm not going to be part of her lies anymore." Tom looked at me and I saw a flicker of something, regret maybe, or guilt. "You sure about this?" "More than ever," I said. "It's time she learned she can't just walk over me." The plan was set. I finished my drink, feeling a strange mixture of anticipation and dread. I knew tonight's game wouldn't be easy, but I also knew I wouldn't back down. No matter what, I was going to make her see that her betrayal had consequences. And I was going to make sure she knew she'd lost more than just me. Because sometimes the only way to take back your power is to strike first. The hours dragged by, each minute feeling longer than the last. I kept packing my apartment, nerves writhing in my stomach. The evidence was ready, the plan was set, and Tom was on board. Still, I couldn't shake off that gnawing feeling deep in my gut. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming whatever dignity I had left. Finally, the phone buzzed. My heart skipped a beat. Tom's voice crackled through the line. "She's on her way. Said she'd meet you at that coffee shop downtown in 15 minutes. Looks like she's nervous. She's been texting me nonstop trying to find out what's going on." I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. My palms were slick with sweat. "Good," I said. Tell her I want to talk, but I'm not coming alone. I want her to see I've got everything, every message, every photo, all of it." "Got it," Tom replied. "She's on her way. Just remember, stay calm. Make her think you're still trying to salvage this, even if you're just playing her right now." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. I looked at the evidence in my hand, the message logs, the photos, the recordings I'd made of her voice. She thought she was the clever one, hiding behind her phone, lying to everyone. But I had her cornered now, and I was ready. The doorbell buzzed. I walked over and opened the door, my heart pounding so loud I thought it might burst out of my chest. There she was, Lisa, standing on my doorstep, face pale, eyes darting around like she knew she was walking into something dangerous. "Lisa," I said, voice even but cold. "Come in." She hesitated, then stepped inside, nervously twisting her hands. She looked around, trying to gauge what I was up to. I could tell she was trying to keep her composure, but her hands were trembling slightly. "Look, I don't know what you think I want," I said, voice low, "but I just want to talk, honestly." She nodded quickly. "Okay, I'm here, let's talk." I led her to the living room, and I made sure to keep the evidence in plain sight, her phone, the screenshots, everything. I didn't say anything at first, just watched her, and she kept glancing at the papers and the phone on the table. "Before we get into this," I started, "you should know I have everything. Every message, every secret you thought was hidden. You thought you could cheat on me, lie, and I wouldn't find out. Well, guess what? I did, and I've had enough." Her face drained of color. "Please don't do this, just listen." "No," I interrupted. "I want to hear everything. When did this start? How long were you planning to betray me?" She looked down, voice trembling. "It started about a month ago. Tom and we didn't mean for it to go this far. It just happened. I was stressed, overwhelmed. I thought I could handle it, and I was stupid. I regret it." I scoffed. "Regret? You think that's enough? You lied to my face, betrayed everything we had. And Tom, my best friend, did he know about us? Did he know how much I trusted him?" She looked at me, eyes filled with tears. "He didn't want to hurt you. Neither did I. It just got out of control." "I don't want to hear your excuses," I snapped. "I want the truth. Every lie you told, every message you sent, every moment you spent with him while telling me you were at work. I know about all of it now." Her shoulders shook as she sobbed. "I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please, I love you. I never meant to hurt you." "Love." I cut her off sharply. "That word doesn't mean anything anymore. You betrayed me so thoroughly, I don't know if I can ever trust you again. You thought you could do this behind my back, hide it all, and I'd never find out." She looked pleading now. "Please don't do this. I'll do anything, just don't throw everything away." I felt my stomach churn. I'd prepared for this moment, but hearing her beg still didn't make it easier. I knew what I had to do. I reached over and grabbed the folder I'd brought with me, proof of everything. I slid it across the table toward her. "This is what I'm going to do," I said quietly. "I'm giving you one last chance to tell me what you want. Because I'm done being the fool. You're leaving tonight, Lisa. Pack your things and get out." Her eyes widened. "What, you're serious?" "Dead serious," I said, voice firm. "You think you can betray me, lie, and pretend it's nothing? No, you're gone, and I want your keys right now." She reached into her purse, hands trembling, and pulled out her keychain. I snatched it and held it out. "Give me those. You're not coming back." She looked like she was about to scream, but instead she just nodded, defeated. I watched her for a second, feeling that strange mixture of rage, sadness, and relief. I'd finally done what I needed to cut out the poison to reclaim my life. As she turned to leave, I handed her the small bag with her belongings. She paused at the door, her hand on the knob. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I didn't respond. I just watched her go, closing the door behind her. The apartment felt emptier than ever, and I had no idea what was coming next. But I knew one thing for sure. She'd crossed a line, and there was no coming back from this. My final takeaway: sometimes the only way to heal is to cut away everything that's been poisoning you, no matter how much it hurts. The silence that followed her departure was almost deafening. I stood there in the empty apartment, looking at the mess of my life left behind. Her scent still lingered faintly in the air, faint traces of perfume mixed with the ghost of her presence. I closed my eyes for a moment, feeling a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. For so long, I'd been walking on eggshells, trying to ignore the cracks in the foundation of my relationship. Now that it was over, I finally saw. Clearly, I'd been blind, but I wasn't anymore. I took a breath, deep and steady. The adrenaline that had carried me through the last few hours was starting to fade, leaving behind a strange quiet that felt almost peaceful. I knew I'd lost a lot: trust, friendship, a future I once believed in. But I also knew I gained something much more valuable: clarity. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my dignity, about finally seeing the truth and refusing to be a victim of lies anymore. I grabbed the evidence folder I'd prepared, screenshots of her messages, the photos, the recordings, and put them in a safe place. I knew I'd need them someday, even if only to remind myself of what I'd survived. I looked around one last time and then grabbed the keys she had left behind, the ones I'd told her to take. I slipped them into my pocket, feeling the weight of finality. I thought about calling Tom, but I decided against it. He knew what I was doing, and I didn't want to hear any false apologies. I'd already decided that this was the end of that chapter. Cutting out toxic people, even if they're your closest friends, is sometimes the only way to truly move on. Instead, I stepped outside into the night air. The street was quiet, lit only by flickering street lamps. My senses were heightened: the cool breeze on my skin, the distant hum of cars passing by, the faint smell of rain in the air. It all felt surreal, almost as if I'd entered a new world, one where I could finally breathe again. I finally understood that betrayal cuts deep, but it also teaches you about yourself. It reveals your strength, your resilience, your ability to stand up and say enough. I opened my phone, typed a simple message, and sent it to my family. I'm okay. I'm done with her, moving on. That one message was the last piece of this chapter, my declaration that I would no longer be defined by the lies others tried to impose. As I walked away from the apartment, I felt a strange sense of liberation. The pain, the anger, it was still there, but it was no longer controlling me. I'd set boundaries for myself, learned to trust my instincts again. I knew life wouldn't be easy after this, but I also knew I'd come out stronger on the other side. Looking back, I realized that sometimes the most painful moments are the ones that push us to grow the most. Betrayal hurts badly, but it also forces clarity. It teaches us to value ourselves, to see through the false facades, and to never again settle for anything less than honesty. So, to anyone reading this who's been betrayed, know this: you are not alone. You have the power to cut out the poison, to walk away from the lies, and rebuild from the ashes. It hurts now, but healing comes when you decide enough is enough. Trust your instincts, take control, and never forget you're stronger than you think. I handed over the keys, filed the papers, and closed the door on what once was. Her betrayal was a lesson, and I refused to let it define me. From this day forward, I choose truth, respect, and a life where I don't have to look over my shoulder anymore. And that, I know, is the real victory.